All right, let's add a mouth to our project, okay? Now simplify things down into their most basic form. That's the best way to do it. So if we look at our lips have a very similar design as our eyelids, okay? If you think about it, we just don't have an eyeball sticking out of our mouth. That'd be kind of weird, okay? But the lips are basically gonna be made the same way. We're gonna take a couple of coils. Now this time they're gonna be a little bit bigger, probably closer to the ones that we used for making the eyebrow. Move this over so I've got a little bit more space to roll my coil out. There we go. Now it's pretty important that we get this nice and even, so I'm gonna make sure that's nice and clean. The extruder isn't gonna make a coil that's the right size for that, so I highly recommend just rolling it by hand. If you need help with that, you know, obviously call me over, or you can have a friend help you with it. That's a little bit better if you're not that comfortable. Okay, so I'm gonna make a coil that's way bigger than it needs to be, okay? Mainly because, remember, all right, the width of our mouth should line up with the center of our pupils, all right? So it should only be about that wide. So we're gonna get rid of a good chunk of that. Okay, and even a little bit more, there we go, okay? And therefore we can go ahead and line that up just underneath the nose, okay? Just like that. So that's going to be my upper lip. Now the lower lip depends on what your face is going to be doing. If they're just smiling normally, then obviously you can go ahead and create, you know, just another one that just kind of gives a little bit of something like that, and we'll smooth it in and we'll make it a little bit more realistic. Now, what if you want to have the mouth open, okay, and smiling? Okay, you could do it like that. You could also, you know, have it kind of a crooked smile, okay, or something like that. That's going to be determined by you. You are the artist, you are the sculptor, you are the person that's creating this face. It's totally up to you how you want to do it. Now, the thickness of the coil is going to determine how thick the lips are, okay? If you make a really thick coil, kind of like what I've got here, you're going a little bit more Angelina Jolie, okay? If you go with a little bit thinner coil, then you're going a little bit more Nicole Kidman. Okay, it just kind of depends on what your personal taste is. Now, what I like to do, and this is just kind of a little bit of fun for me, is I actually like to make teeth. Okay, so that is an option if you want. You could also make a mustache. You could give this person, this mask, a beard. That is totally up to you. Okay, it's just a matter of figuring out what you want to do with it. So what I've done is I've cut some little rectangles. Okay, I'm going to flatten those out a little bit to create the teeth, okay, for my mask. Now, I like to go a little bit redneck with this. For those of you that are rednecks, I apologize, but a little bit, you know, hillbilly South that doesn't have all of his teeth kind of a thing. For whatever reason, that's just fun for me, for making it that kind of design. So I'm gonna make 3 or 4, maybe 5 of these. So therefore, I'm not necessarily gonna, if I wanna make a whole mouth of teeth, then, you know, obviously you're gonna need to make more, but this is just a little bit more fun for me, all right? So I'm gonna go ahead and take this. My ends of my coil, I'm just gonna kind of pinch the corners of it, okay? I don't know if you guys can see that, so that it's tapered at the end, so that it doesn't stick out like a sore thumb, okay? Like so. I'm gonna give the mouth a bit of a curve like that. I'm gonna smooth that together, the little bottom of that cracked a little bit. Okay, so I got my lips on there. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna peel my lip up and I'm gonna place my teeth for old Cletus here, okay? He's gonna have 3 teeth, I think, and maybe 1 on the bottom. Yeah, maybe 2 on the bottom, okay? And what I'm doing is I'm gonna place them so that they are actually underneath the edge of that coil that creates the foot, or creates the lip. Actually, you know what, let's do this. Let's go 2 on the top. And then we're gonna make these a little bit smaller because they're kind of sticking out a little bit much. And then maybe like that. And if I need to, I can make a little tiny one that might stick over here on this side. There we go. So he's got some pretty jacked up teeth, okay, but I just like it. I think they're fun. And I'm just, you know, this has no bearing on if you're a person from the South or if you're a person from the considers himself to be a little bit of a redneck. I mean no offense, but I'm just having fun with it, so you can make the face kind of like that, okay? Just kind of makes him look a little bit funny. All right, so in this case, what I need to do is I need to go ahead and start smoothing that together, okay? You can score, slip, and smooth, but honestly, it's not really necessary for this particular part because we're gonna smooth, and you can see what I'm doing here, that bottom half of the lower lip, okay? And then the top half of the upper lip, all right? I've gotta be careful I'm not smashing into my nose there. And again, that transition between the nose, the mouth, okay, the chin, all of this stuff is going to be pretty critical as far as making sure that everything lines up where it's supposed to. Now, what tends to happen a lot of times, especially as we do this for the first time, is that you can kind of see how the mouth kind of sticks out way far, okay? So what we want to do is really make sure that those transitions, okay, are nice and smooth, all right? By placing those teeth actually underneath each of those coils, all right, what we do is we actually place them behind the lip to create the illusion or to create the realistic look of those teeth being behind the lips, just like your teeth are behind your lips. Look at the person sitting across from you and ask them to smile for you, and you will see that their teeth are behind their lips, okay? They're inside their mouth, all right? So you can kind of see just like so, okay? So we can smooth that out, clean that up, round this all out, make sure that lip is nice and smooth and clean, and that'll help build that up. Then we gotta have our little Cupid's bow here right underneath our, oops. I'm just using the end of my needle tool. I can also add in, if I really wanted to, I'm gonna go ahead and do that really quick. Add in a really thin coil. Two of them there for the top of the Cupid's bow, okay? I don't know if you can see that. You can see those there, all right? But I'm gonna go ahead and obviously smooth those in on both sides. Something a little bit tinier there. There we go. And this is where the little details come into play. All these little details, they will make a difference, okay? And in this case, we may want to go ahead and get a paintbrush. So we get the paintbrush that has a little bit of a worn down tip, okay? But now what we can do is we can do a little bit of smoothing, add a little bit of water to it, and then make that transition in that Cupid's bow on the upper lip a little bit more realistic. That got a little bit out of hand. I think I made those coils a little bit on the larger side than what they needed to be. Okay, but you can also use this to clean up around the eyes, in between the teeth, all that kind of stuff, so that it looks as realistic as we can make it. Because in the end, that's what we're looking for, is realism if you're making a human face. Now, if you're gonna make something completely different, and alien and that sort of thing, then that's up to you, and you get to determine what that's gonna look like, okay? Okay, so there you can kind of see that. I don't know if you can see that with the shadow, okay? But there's my goofy looking face. Now, I'm not necessarily done here. There's a lot of things that I could do to it, but I'm gonna leave that up to you as far as the creativity goes. You can very simply cut out the brim of a hat just by making a little bit of a half moon, add that on there, okay? And now he's wearing, a hat, okay? Whether a baseball hat or a top hat or something like that is going to be determined by the shape of it. You can also give him dreadlocks, he can have hair. There's a lot of different things that you can do with this. I wanted to just show you how to make the basic features. The biggest thing is know how to create the nose, the eyes, the mouth, the eyebrows, and that kind of stuff. You can go back in, especially in the eyebrows, okay? Give it a little bit of texture, and that'll really start making this really come alive as far as the realism, okay? And that kind of thing, all right? So that's how to make a mask. The other option you're gonna have is to make an emoji, and I'm gonna show you guys that in the next set of videos.